We'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome to the May 7th, 2024 City Council meeting of the City of Windom. This evening we'll start with just a notice for the board under the action item that's already on our agenda. There's just additional names that were placed on the seasonal employees that should be, everybody should have a copy of that. So with that, on the consent agenda, we have the minutes from the council minutes of April 16th, Utility Commission April 24th, HRA April 17th, Street Committee May 2nd, and the regular bills. Council wish to take action?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes and the regular bills.
I'll second.
Motion Scott, second by Jenny to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Department heads. I think everybody's going to wait for their turn. Next, we have several proclamations. First one being Hospital Week, May 12th through the 18th of 2024. And I believe we are looking for a motion to introduce that resolution.
I
would introduce the resolution.
I'll second it.
Resolution introduced by Marv and second by Scott. Thank you. And now would Marv Grunig be willing to read the proclamation?
Whereas National Hospital Week is May 12th through the 18th of 2024, We Are Healthcare, hashtag My Hospital, stands with more than 5,000 other U.S. hospitals in providing quality patient care to all Americans, hashtag Hospital Week. And whereas individuals all across the country will be celebrating this event, and whereas our hospital and healthcare workers represent care, community, and comfort, and whereas the hardworking people who compose our hospitals deserve universal regard and appreciation for keeping our community healthy, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Windom, Minnesota, that in recognition of this event, the City Council does hereby proclaim the week of May 12th through the 18th, 2024 as National Hospital Week.
Very good. Thank you, Marv. Any questions on the proclamation? Hearing none, I'll ask Steve for a roll call.
Grunig.
Yes.
Esplin.
Yes.
Benson.
Yes.
Quaid.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
And that carries. And would you like to present that proclamation to Shelby, who's here on behalf of Windom Area Health? Next proclamation is recognizing law enforcement officers. And do I have a motion entertaining that resolution?
I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
Introduced by Jenny, seconded by Dennis. I'll let you read the proclamation.
Okay. Proclamation recognizing law enforcement officers. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day and calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. Established by a joint resolution of Congress in 1962, National Police Week pays special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including full-time, ununiformed law enforcement officers serving in Windom, Minnesota. And whereas members of law enforcement deserve the appreciation and respect of the people of Windom, Minnesota for the merit, dignity, bravery, and reliability they exhibit each and every day. We must also honor the sacrifices made by families of police officers, as each and every day they face constant fear as their loved ones work to protect us. And whereas the names of those dedicated public servants who made the ultimate sacrifice are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. And whereas Minnesota's fallen officers will never be forgotten, nor will their service to their respective communities. By choosing to commit themselves to law enforcement, these brave individuals answer the call of service and willingness to put their lives in jeopardy. We commend them for recognizing service as a noble career and protecting the public safety, and also recognize all those who are serving without incident to date. And whereas the City of Windom and the Minnesota citizens have turned to the members of law enforcement for assistance and support in times of distress, whether they are coping with personal crisis or struggle through civil disorder or a natural disaster, our communities rely on these courageous individuals when it is difficult to stand on our own. We are indebted to their unwavering public service of our local and state police. We are indeed fortunate and grateful for these contributions of law enforcement officers to the people of this community and state. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Windom, Minnesota, that the City Council, in recognition of this event, publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community, as well as those in our state and nation, and honor officers place their lives on the line for safety and security of their communities. The Mayor and City Council encourage the community to recognize all our dedicated law enforcement officers with a sincere thank you. Adopted by this council the 7th day of May, 2024.
Thank you, Jenny. Steve, roll call.
Esplin. Nelson.
Yes.
Grunig. Benson.
Yes.
Quaid.
Yes.
Thank you all very much, and would you please present that to the chief? Thank you, Scott. And all your staff. Next, we have the 2024 EMS Week proclamation. And would somebody care to introduce that?
I'll introduce the proclamation for the EMTs.
I'll second.
That was introduced by Scott and seconded by Jim. Thank you. Jim, your mic's on. Thank you. You shut it off. Okay, the City of Windom, Minnesota, 2024 EMS Week proclamation. Whereas emergency medical services are vital public services, and whereas the members of emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas the emergency medical services system has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate and appreciated to recognize the value and accomplishments of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Windom, Minnesota, that the City Council, in recognition of this event with the theme honoring our past, forging our future, does hereby proclaim the week of May 19th to May 25th, 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week. The mayor and city council encourage the community to observe this week with a sincere thank you to all our dedicated emergency medical service members. Adopted this by the council the 7th day of May 2024. Steve, could I ask you for a roll call, please?
Quaid,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Grunig, Esplin, Benson.
Yes.
Okay, thanks to all three of those groups of folks that work so hard within our community and throughout the United States. So once again, thank you all. Next we have resolutions accepting some donations. Teagles Park, a donation by Tom White, and this is an amount of $8,500 for Teagle Park. And with that, with some care to introduce that.
I'll introduce to accept the Teagles Park from Tom White donation.
I'll second.
Motion by Scott and seconded then by Jenny. Any discussion? Hearing none, a roll call.
Benson,
Yes.
Quaid,
Yes.
Nelson, Grunig, Esplin.
And that resolution carries. And Mr. Tom White, thank you very much appreciated for our park system. Thank you. Next, Fire Department. We have a guest here, Al Peterson from Prudence Lodge, number 97. Masons and Ben, so you guys have the podium. Thank you.
Good idea. Turn the microphone on. Ben asked me to come and do this presentation here. We did the official presentation at the Fireman's Dance. The Masons of Prudence Lodge number 97 have donated 2 fire suppression tools to the Windom Fire Department. This is a joint effort of the Grand Lodge of Minnesota and Minnesota Masonic Charities in coordination with the company Fire Suppression Solutions, which is a Wisconsin firm. These devices are designed so that you pull the pin and throw it into a fire situation. It will release a powdered aerosol, which is reported to extinguish a fire in a room up to 5,300 square feet within 35 seconds and lower the temperature of the room by 1,000 degrees. We heard that and we thought that was something we should provide for our departments here. So we donated 2 of these to the Windom Fire Department and 2 to the Mountain Lake Fire Department. Hoping, of course, they'll never be used, but hoping if they do, that they do exactly what they're intended. I do know that there's only, this program has been in effect for about a year, a little over a year, and I'm only aware of one instance where one of these was deployed. That was early April March actually, in St. Paul Park. And there were no people in the building, but there were 2 dogs in the basement of this house, which were rescued, and they attribute that to the device. So we have a lot of hope for the fire suppression tool.
So Ben, what do you think? Should we pass this resolution accepting that?
I would certainly hope you would. This was a very, very generous donation from these guys. greatly appreciated. It's another tool in our toolbox to hopefully help suppress a fire, or if nothing else, gain us some time to suppress it so we can get in there and potentially save a life, whether it's a human being or pets, so.
Outstanding. I would encourage the council to accept this resolution, please, by a motion and a second.
I would introduce the resolution accepting the donation from the Prudence Lodge.
I'll second it.
Introduced by Jenny, seconded by Scott. Any discussion? With many thanks, Steve, a roll call.
Benson,
Yes.
Grunig, Esplin, Nelson, Quaid.
Yes.
And that carries. Outstanding. You know, the people that think this stuff up, I mean, that is, sure seems to be another very useful tool in what our fire.
I've heard there are other tools similar to this, but they basically take all the oxygen out of the room, and this does not. It's
Okay.
supposedly safe for people, whether they're victims or firefighters, and animals, obviously.
Right. Thank you, Alf, very much. Thanks to the lodge. Would anybody else like to donate while we're on a roll here?
I told him not to train with it. He's only got 2.
No, right, no training. Yep, read the instructions, follow the instructions. Okay, I believe Tiffany's here, and this is in regards to calling for a public hearing on a residential tax abatement, Plum Bay subdivision, Lot 2, Block 1. For some explanation, Tiffany?
Thank you. Yes, so here to call, ask for a resolution to set a public hearing on an application we received in the residential tax abatement program. Construction season is really starting, getting underway, so I anticipate we'll probably see a few more of these coming. We do advertise this in the Citizen and in the Fair Book as well. So we do start to get a few more applications as the year goes on. The application that we've received so far this year relates to 705 Plum Avenue. It's a single-family home that is being constructed by Borsgard Construction. I did go before the county board this morning in regards to county tax abatement, and they did set a public hearing for the 21st of this month on their part of the tax abatement, and then we have this before the school board as well. What this looks like for the city, the public hearing doesn't occur tonight. There's no resolution on that piece tonight, just the call for the hearing. That said, if the council does approve the requested abatement at that point, impact does look like a approximate $1,844 per year and a total estimated tax abatement over the 5-year period of tax abatement of $9,220. That is an estimate that was provided by the county for that piece. And just important to note, the value of the single-family home that is being constructed is upwards of $400,000. We do have a city cap value of $320,000, so that's where we're basically tapping out on that, and so it'll be the max value at that point.
Before considering this, anybody have any questions for Tiffany? This is just for the public hearing. So with that, is there this is a resolution. Someone care to introduce the resolution for the Plum Bay subdivision, Lot 2, Block 1, public hearing?
I would introduce a resolution calling for the public hearing, residential tax abatement for 705 Plum Avenue.
I'll second.
Introduced by Marv, second by Jim. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Steve?
Quaid,
Yes.
Benson,
Yes.
Grunig,
Yes.
Esplin, Nelson.
Very good, and that carries. We'll see you at the hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, number 6. I am going to report that I have a conflict of interest on this one. And I'm going to turn the gavel over to Dennis, and I will step out for this.
Introduce the item so we know.
It is the water purchase agreement with Red Rock Rural Water System.
Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Ryan Anderson, Water Wastewater. So you've got a resolution for approving the purchase agreement with Red Rock Rural Water in your packet. We're looking at a 5-year agreement, which is the same term as the one that just ended. The main agreement expired at the beginning of this year. We did do a 2-month extension on that, and then we ended up kind of out of contract for the last month, just while we tried to finish this out. The big differences from previous contracts are the amount of gallons we're allocating, setting aside to Red Rock. They basically, with the new construction they've got going, feel that they only need us in an emergency capacity, as previously we did help out on occasion with a lot more water than that. So our old contract was for 65 million gallons a year. This new one is just capped at 10 million a year, 2 million a month, and then up to 300,000 daily. So if they did hit an emergency, we would allow that 300,000 a day with up to the 2 million a month. So we're running less than a week, or a week at that rate. So we do feel we can keep up with that, and still be able to supply them in an emergency capacity. The rates that we've got here, we arrived at the same way we arrived at the rates in the previous contract. Basically, had a spreadsheet with our water budget. We did some work with engineering and calculated what portion of our water budget Red Rock benefits from in that. Kind of just did a certain percentage to all of our different categories, and that's kind of where we got that lump sum total, which is currently it's going to be $718.81 a month for us reserving the water for them, and then if they do buy, they'll be paying $2.88 per 1,000 gallons. The only other big significant differences to the contract were the removal of some of the old wording we had. We were making payments back and forth actually for the south water line and the north booster line. Was there anything else in there, Steve? And the metering stations. And those payments were all completed, I think, third quarter of last year. So that wording was all taken out. That simplifies the contract quite a bit, just getting rid of that. I don't think there were any other significant changes. If you guys had any questions, I'd be happy to answer if I can. Or if I'm missing anything, Steve, I should cover on that? Okay, there you go. We do believe that having a contract between our two entities is beneficial both ways. Sure hope we don't ever need it, but in an emergency we could get water from Red Rock Rural Water, same as they can turn around and get it from us. So I think it serves both of us to have the agreement. And the commission has already approved the contract as you see it. Guess Dominic would know when Red Rock sees it. I'm not quite tomorrow.
Sorry,
Thursday. Okay, so if it passes here tonight, it'll go to them for approval on Thursday.
Now, being as it's rural water, it has nothing to do with our sewer system, right? So, what we pay out and stuff? Okay, that's well.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Esplin, that's will be a resolution, so that was introducing the resolution. We'll need a second and then a roll call.
I would second.
Resolution was made by Jim, seconded by Marv. Any discussion? Roll call?
Okay, Esplin,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Quaid,
Yes.
Benson,
Yes.
Grunig.
Yes.
Motion, it's been passed and this can, yeah, the mayor can come back.
Okay, next item. Street closure. This is for the Riverfest event, June 6th through June 9th. And it's my understanding that our street superintendent invited Darcy, the chamber director, to come and speak on this. So Darcy is going to come and talk a little bit about what the street closure is going to be used for. You have the, and John, you can, if, yeah, we could use your input as well. Well, because, yeah, and if she says something wrong, you'll have to correct her. No, okay.
Oops, I'm Darcy Jones with the Windom Chamber.
John Ketzelberg, Street and Parks Superintendent.
I have kind of met with John on some of the stuff that the Riverfest is going on with the chamber. I'll let him kind of touch base on things. So far, we have our community cookout on Monday down at the square from 5 to 7. And we're going to probably be doing a pedal pull, we're hoping, for Thursday, as well as food trucks. We're trying to bring down some entertainment that same night. On Friday, we're looking at the Lions Club doing a cookout as well. Their cookout will start at 5:30. That'll be down at Teagles Park, and then they'll be having a band, Neon Nights, come, and they'll play till about 10. Fireworks will start at 10, and it's about I think a 16 to 19 minute show, which will be fun. And then after that, the band will start to play again until about midnight. Saturday, we have a lot going on at multiple locations. Down at Teagles Park, we'll have our fishing contest, the youth fishing contest. There'll be a cribbage tournament and a 5K fun run walk. And then down at the square, we'll still have our craft vendor show. There'll be food trucks down at the square. Toro turtle races will start at 2. And we're hoping to bring in some fun activities for the kids between then and now. Whether there's a bubble station, we're looking at bringing in a mini golf 9-hole thing, possibly an escape room as well for people to do. The firemen have also kind of said they would put together a little thing for people to do as well, whether that's a firefight or whatever. And then we are looking at possibly doing a beer garden. Plaza Jalisco has mentioned they would host that. We're looking into some avenues on that and restrictions and policies and all that good stuff. Then Sunday, we have our community worship at the Bark. The Bark is going to host a pancake breakfast feed. The Lions Club is also going to be doing some food down at Teagles Park for the car show. Then we have from 11 to 4, there'll be a family fun day at Island Park. We'll have some bouncy houses. The pool will hopefully be open and it'll be warm so people can use that. We'll have food trucks down there, the Pirates game. And then we're also still looking for sponsorship for some of these events. We would like to have the biggest sponsor will throw the first pitch. The second one will then catch that pitch, and the rest of the sponsors will be placed out in the outfield as a way of recognition. And then the 7th inning stretch, we will announce our duck raffle ticket winner. So we are also looking at selling those. And I'll let John take over.
And John, could you please explain the events that are going to be utilized under the street closure, please?
I believe she's got the pedal pull and everything. That'd be the Thursday. And then we got the parade route and everything, which is the same as it has been in the previous year. Me and the chief are very happy with the way that works out and everything. The beer garden is in question, like you said, and everything. Firefighting and everything, I believe, is on 4th Avenue on the concrete street. Same with the pedal pole and everything. And like I say, I think we got pretty much everything else. I'll be bringing her some picnic tables and up for the square and everything. So
Very good. And both the chief and you have approved the request? Okay. With that, I'm going to ask for the authorization from the council.
I'll make a motion for the street closure for June 6th through the 9th.
I'll second it.
Motion by Scott, second by Dennis to approve the street closure request. Any discussion? Jenny?
So is the street 4th Avenue between 9th and 10th? Does it have time? I mean, is it the whole 6th through the 9th, all those days that it's going to be closed? Or is it a certain, I don't see that it says a time frame. So I'm not sure. If there could be some clarification, because the way it's written, it kind of looks like the 6th through the 9th, you're just closing the street on 4th Avenue for those whole days, all those days?
no, the way I understand, the way she wants it and everything, in front of the chamber, that would be 9th. It's going to be food trucks, right? So the food trucks will be on that. And then on 4th, for the Saturday and everything, was going to be, you got the craft and vendors to set up and everything, so that's going to be probably on 9th too. Food trucks are on 9th. The firefighters and the turtle races are going to be on 4th. Then they got the parade and everything. So her closures are this for pretty much the Saturday.
John, I think they're asking, is it 7 a.m. to midnight, or is it 10 to noon, or I think that's the question.
We would like it to be 7 a.m. on Saturday because the craft vendors do come in early with hopes to be starting at 9. The beer garden, we're going to have it end at 10. So the street closure, if we could have it, I would say 10-ish, 10:30 on that. And then you said the 6th on Thursday, the pedal pole.
That would probably be the 4th then.
And that will also be starting at 5:30, so we'd like the road probably closed at 5. Hoping it'll be done around 8:30, so street closure probably have to do 5 to 8:30 on that side of the street. And then
I guess my biggest thing, when the street's going to be closed, the street department's going to have the barricades out, so obviously people in the community are going to know something's happening. But I would say, you're with the chamber, so you know the contacts, but I think it's important just from, years past and dealing with the chamber and different events to make sure that the businesses are aware ahead of time of what days and what times you're looking at. Because then they kind of, for their businesses and traffic and stuff, they can kind of let their customers know and be aware for things. So I would just encourage you to get a finalized time of these days, these times, these streets, and make sure them businesses are aware down there. Okay.
Jenny, good point. Also for emergency services, I think fire trucks and whatnot going through the area, if a map with the times in it or whatever, I think it'd be important for them to see too, probably. And then worked it out with John and the chief from the times and stuff, and I think you'll be good to go. Okay. I did get a motion in a second, right? All right,
You need a vote, yeah.
and I need a vote yet. Any other questions? Good question, Jenny. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? And motion carries. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Next, Personnel Committee, Community Center, on-call part-time. Tim's gonna come up and, this seems to be a regular event. Sorry, I gotta give everybody a bad time, I guess.
Tim Snyder, Community Center Director. Before you, I have an action item that I recommend the City Council approve the hiring of Dan Castle and Chloe Say Lee as on-call part-time help at the wage of $12.50 per hour. The other position, which has been in the newspaper for the 20 to 28 shared with the arena, we really haven't got any applicants for it. A couple of them have already moved on to other jobs. A lot of people looking for 40 hours in a job, not just 20 to 28 part-time. Dan is a recent transplant back to Minnesota. He's retired, so he wanted a few hours. He does not want to be scheduled 20 to 28 hours, but some on-call hours he'd be happy to do. So guy's got some maintenance skills and some other things to help us. So with a busy summer coming up, we can use a couple more hands, that's for sure.
Any questions from the council? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the request?
I'll make a motion to approve the request for on-call and part-time help.
I'll second.
Motion by Scott, second by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you. Next are the seasonal employees. There is that's one I referred to, the new list that was given to you with a host of many names on here. I'm sure that with scheduling and whatnot, with everybody's activities, that it takes a lot to staff the pool to make sure we have people on there. Same thing with the recreation. So the list is in front of you. Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay, entertain someone to make the motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve the seasonal employees.
I'll second.
Motion Scott, I'll take Marv second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Jason, you're up. Contractor payments and change order and an update on the transmission line, generator plant construction, all that good stuff. What's going on?
All right, Jason Segura, utility manager. So I guess we can just start with a generation plan update. Plant's going good. It's going together. The engines were delivered on last Tuesday night. They started moving them in. It took them a day and a half to slide them in off the truck. So they basically just backed the truck through our little garage, 9-foot garage door, slid them off on railroad track rails, and lowered them down and centered them. So went real smooth. Didn't drop them. So successful. And then we got a roof. It's insulated. They're gonna start sheeting tomorrow. The metal sheeting panels on the outside, inside, getting some lights inside, tray. Stacks might get set end of this week, beginning of next week. They're gonna mount the exhaust stacks. So I don't know, it's coming together. I mean, we got subcontractors fighting over space, so I think that's a sign of progress.
That sounds good. You have several items on here. We have a transmission line reconstruction.
Yes. And Along with that transmission line, final payment, I'd like to add, there was a change order that missed for a decrease. Just it's a deduct. So, Steve can pull it up. Somewhere in the middle. Oh, yeah, I see. This one? No, it's probably about mid. It's one of those EJ. Getting close.
This the deduct? Change order one right there.
Well, it works. There's an actual contract page,
Okay.
but
That's the end, that's the last one.
okay. So the change order is a deduct. The original contract was, it included a $100,000 contingency.
Okay, and who is this, who's the name of the change order? Is that IES?
Change order to IES. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And what number?
1.
Okay.
So the change order number 1, it's basically just the contract was approved with a $100,000 contingency. We used $32,000 for some tree trimming that needed to be done along Highway 60. And then we had a few poles that once some homeowners seeing exactly where we were sticking them, we had to do a little moving and a little height adjustment. So of the $100,000 that were in contingency, there was $40,000 balance remaining. So this will be a $40,000 deduct from the total contract price.
Okay,
That's it. Yep.
okay. We'll tackle that one first. This is IES Commercial Incorporated, change order number 1, which is a deduct of $40,000 from the total contract, and this is coming from the line item contingency. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. Council wish to take action?
I'd make the motion to approve that change order number 1.
I'll second.
Marv made the motion. Since Jim's sitting to him by him, I'll take Jim's. It kind of merged there. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. And Steve, you have a copy of that change order, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. So next, do we move on to the final payment?
Correct.
Okay. This is final payment recommended by the engineer, is that correct?
Correct. This will be the final payment on the transmission project.
Okay, so we have this will be payment number 6, final, to IES Commercial Incorporated in the amount of $147,958.27.
This was approved by the Utility Commission, correct?
Yes, both the change order and this were both approved by Utility Commission at the last meeting.
I would make the motion to approve IES payment number 6, which is the final payment.
I'll second it.
Motion Mars, second by Scott. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, and that motion carries. On to the generator plant construction. This one, let me see. What I'm wondering is the change orders, did they come before the generator plant construction amount payment number 6?
So they'll be tacked on to payment 7. after we
Oh,
approve.
so
But
we're
this-
just
this
approving
will-
it now, it'll show on the next pay request?
Yes.
Okay, so
And-
it's not included in 6?
Right. And
Okay.
once again, this is just coming out, there was a $100,000 contingency in this budget too, so this isn't changing contract price.
Okay, very good. So Wilcon Construction Services LLC, payment number 6, $640,015. Council action?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Dennis, second by Jenny. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Change order number 1. Just a quick briefing on what that's for, maybe?
So, change order number 1 on the generation plant. Slight oversight on the drawings. They forgot to put the 1.5-inch insulation on the outside of the footing walls. So, contractor noticed before they backfilled against the footings. He went and purchased the styrofoam at that point, put it on. And they did not charge any labor to install this, so this was just material. So,
Well, let's quick and approve it. You're recommending approval?
yep.
And
Utility Commission also approved.
Okay, so we have change order number 1 with an increase of $1,004.
I'll make a motion to accept the change order number 1.
I'll second.
Motion made by Scott, second by Jenny to approve change order number 1. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. What happened to change order number 2, 3, and 4? Anyway, we're going to change order number 5. And this is Wilcon Construction, $8,232, and that is for,
I'm going to go ahead and blame Steve for this one, yes. It came up in discussion while we were doing the roofing on this plant. We're also cutting holes in the existing power plant for roof access, and we had to reroute some heat exhaust. So we thought it would be a good time to remove that big, ugly, square, rectangle-looking exhaust from the turbine, which we retired a few years ago. So, Laraway agreed or came up with a contract price when they had their crane there that they'll lift it down and they'll patch the holes for the legs that support it, and then the hole where the exhaust came through. The city will have to dispose of it ourselves. So, just big.
The existing power plant building, it's very unsightly, and since the turbine.
okay.
It looks like a small storage container with a tailpipe on it, basically.
So do we thank Steve, or do we?
Utility Commission did.
Okay,
Yes, and then the utility commission went along with it, approved
very
it.
good. Change order number 5, council action.
I would make the motion to approve the generator plan, change order number 5.
I'll second it.
Oh, darn it. That was you, Scott? Okay, motion by Marv, second by Scott to approve change order number 5, which Steve created. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah, we'll probably piece it down, throw it on the deck over trailer, and haul it to Hilltop and see what they'll give us for it. We're not 100% sure if there's insulation around the inside or not. So we'll find out. So.
Okay, thanks for the update. Good job getting all this stuff organized, and your plant's soon to be up and operational. What's the time schedule on it? I'm curious, I can't remember.
Substantial completion is October 4th, with final completion November 10th, I believe. So we're moving along. I mean, I think we'll make it as long as all the electrical panels show up. That's kind of our hold up, is some of those are taking a while to get, some of the VFDs and stuff. So
Okay, thanks, Jason.
Are we gonna fix the road pretty soon out front there? Now they got the generator put in here? You said last time you could do some road patches. It's pretty tough out there.
we've been throwing a lot of rock into that pothole. This rain of recent hasn't been helping. I guess I don't know where the asphalt plants are, if they're all fired up or not, but I know there's a little hesitation because we still got to bring a couple cranes in to lift some of that stuff, so we don't really want to damage the patch, but we're trying to stay on top of throwing material in the hole, but it turns into potholes pretty quick. But
Okay. New business. Anybody have any new business this evening? Old business? Steve, any old business? Anybody? Nope. Council comments? Scott?
Just with the spring coming and all the rain and stuff like that, if you guys anybody's got any standing water out in their yards, the mosquito hatch is gonna be crazy this year. They're already talking about the different types of mosquitoes coming up, so if you got some standing water, please try to dump it out and get stuff like that. And then if you have neighbors or elderly people that can't mow their yards or help them mow their yards, sure would appreciate some people helping other people on, because we are Minnesota nice, and if we can get some people to blend together and help each other out, sure would appreciate getting that stuff taken care of. Thank you.
Jenny, would you like to talk about the cleanup coming up?
That is the item I had for council comments. Is we are finally approaching time when officially you can start to put your stuff on the curb. Those early birds that had it out a month or two ago. But now you can finally start to go through your stuff and get ready for citywide cleanup, which is Saturday, May 18th. So not this week, yet another week, May 18th. And just a reminder to people that already have piles at their curb that they're not taking bags. They're not taking your whole pile of junk. There's only 10 big items on your curb that are going to be picked up. If you have piles or bags of stuff, they're going to drive right by. So those will not be picked up. Also, reading the paper, it was on the front page of the Shopper this weekend. There's no mirrors either. I've seen a lot of glass and mirrors at different curbs too. That's not going to be picked up. So really look over the paper and look at that information. And then Hometown Sanitation will be at Teagles Park on that Saturday, May 18th. And that's where you can bring your items. So people that have boxes of items to drop off there that won't fit in your household garbage container, that's where to go. So Saturday morning, May 18th, bring all your stuff to Teagles Park. And those of you that have stuff at your curb that does not meet those criteria of just some bigger items and are there smaller piles of things, bring those to Teagles Park. Otherwise, they will not be picked up at your curb.
Thank you, Jenny. Jim, what do you got?
A whole lot other than watch for this open meeting that the state is going to have for this highway construction and get everybody you can to go to it. As soon as you hear about it or whatever, start telling your friends and neighbors, bring your dogs along if they can dock. I mean, just do what you got to do, but let's do something about that place.
Marv?
You know, Jason and the electric department had the best show in town for probably over a year now, but as those projects wind up, the excitement is moving to Cottonwood Lake and a lot of action happening out there, so that's great to see.
Dennis? Okay. Yeah, I echo that on Cottonwood Lake. The development area is really, they're crushing up a lot of stuff, and it's going to be it's gonna be nice to see something happen really nice there, so looking forward to that. My comments as well on the MnDOT open house and whatnot coming up. It's looking like June 4th is what we're looking at. And, you know, I wanted to, I just give the council a heads up, and I agree with Jim. I think the public needs to turn out for this and make their comments known. This event by MnDOT may also be followed by a city council meeting. And that's the hearing date. And so people that come, ask your questions to MnDOT. And the public hearing is going to follow that. And I think that that is where the opportunity to speak for or against the proposed items that come before the council. There will be 2 items on there for council consent, or for the community consent.
That'll come later.
And those are the 2 things that the council has to act on, not at that night, but within 90 days of this meeting. But while people are there and we have the hearing, it is their chance to speak on this. That is the opportunity that they have to voice their opinion. We're not the only ones. Jenny and I were at a meeting at Mountain Lake with our local government units meeting, and as well as Steve. And other communities in our area are having projects being thought about, I guess, in their areas. Mountain Lake, there was discussion of J-turns, some things like that. And so, you know, these things are being considered from information that was sent, and the public involvement started in 2022, I believe, and comments. And the priorities that MnDOT has developed, this proposed plan of 3-lane through Windom, was developed on safety, speed, and business access was a huge one. That was the community comments at that time. And so MnDOT has a plan that incorporates all that, so the city would have all 3 of those items get better within our community, in their opinion. So I understand why they come up with the plan. However, I don't necessarily agree with it. And I think the public, as Jim said, the public needs to get out and they need to be active in their community. And first of all, talk with MnDOT at that open house. I think you're going to have plenty of time to do that, the way it sounded, several hours of talking with the MnDOT representatives. I talked to Ann Wolf today. They're bringing videos down from communities who have similar situations that were converted before and after with traffic flow. I look forward to seeing that. On kudos for the citizen for putting online that video. I thought that gave good representation of what it's going to look like. But the one question, and I asked Ann today, is, but you don't have much traffic shown. You know, I think it was a great thing, but I want to see how cars turn and all of that. I think that's the thing that we're missing on that. And I told her that today. She said, yes, this is, you know, what we can do with their program or whatever, but I'd like to see more traffic area being introduced, and I think I've had comments from others, and Steve is one of them. Yep, cars turning. Let's see if it backs up the traffic. Let's look at the videos they have of other communities. One thing I will be doing is going to the city of Laverne to look at their highway through town. Traffic count, I think, is a little bit different than ours. The other one being Redwood Falls. If you're through those communities, they are now 3 lanes with the turning lane. Take a look at them. The difference I see, though, is they have some side turns areas. They have a wider corridor to work with, and I think so. Pay attention to that. But I will be looking at those 2 communities. They're the closest ones. And so I think there's opportunity for the public to be involved and learn first, and then during that public hearing, take the opportunity to comment. Because it was, pretty direct on, comments from MnDOT that the public doesn't vote now. This city council does. Okay? But I said, but we need to hear from the public. Okay? And so, there's things in here that I don't think we should change. I'm for the stoplights, quite honestly. I think it's, my opinion is the stoplight part of that has to go through. We have to have the correct stoplight or stoplights. And I think that has to happen regardless what's done. So that's the municipal consent. And there's another one. There's 2 different action items, as I understand. The other one is for the striping, as I understand it. So, of next year's project. If the council doesn't do that, doesn't take affirmative action on that, I guess I don't know what the results are. They put it off to 2032, and we live with what we have. I don't know if that's right either. So I think the city council has opportunity to listen to the public at this public hearing, and we need the public to question and, ask questions. We may not know the answers, but MnDOT's going to be there. Ask them. And if you want to speak at the public hearing, if you don't agree with their answers, or even if you do, make your comments when it's time for a public hearing. That is the opportunity that our council is going to have the opportunity to reflect on this, right? So I encourage the public, as you said, get out there and be part of it. And Jenny wants to follow up to that, so I'm going to let you do that.
Sorry, I didn't say it in my, but since you brought this up, if I hadn't just encouraged the public like I did, go online to the Citizen and look at that video. I looked it over, it's just a small little clip, but multiple times, and I would pause it. And then as I paused it, I imagined myself driving, like by Toro there, trying to get across the intersection or turn, or by the hospital, trying to turn on like I was going towards Mountain Lake onto the highway, just things like that, and think of how it is now and how it would be if you tried to make those turns with what they're proposing with the striping. And so, at this point, I would like to hear what public comments are looking at that, because I think that, we can talk about it all we want and maybe look at some maps, but looking at what the citizen, what the DOT has for that video, and really slowing it down, pausing it, and saying, okay, if I was here or there making a turn or driving here, how would this affect me? And let us know, because like you said, our vote is what's going to maybe determine the future of this, possibly. So we need to hear from you, the public. So please watch that video and comment to us.
And I would also look for, maybe there'll be a survey online through the citizen. I don't know. You'll have to watch and see. But, you know, I think it'd be prudent for them to consider that. Just, I'm curious to see what people will say in public compared to what they'll see by a vote, you know, or a survey. You know, so I think they need to be informed and understand it. Look online at the Citizen and take a look at that. And you may have to stop it a few times because it goes pretty quick for me, you know, as you're looking at this. But take a look at that, and maybe that could go hand in hand with some type of question. So that's just an idea. So with that, Dennis.
That we're going to be able to vote on the stoplights and the striping separately?
That is my understanding from Ann Wolf today.
Okay.
There'll be two different votes.
Well, that's great.
Well, maybe not if you're MnDOT. But I think, though, I'm not going to make a judgment tonight on this either way. I'm not sure where I'm at yet, and I don't have a vote, but I want to be, I will be vocal. So I want to hear the comments. I've been discussing things with MnDOT. I can see both ways here. But there's another thing that I will bring up at some point. And what were we so proud of about 5 years ago, wasn't it? How many years has it been since we have 4-lane through Windom?
Exactly.
And what was the purpose of that? To have 4-lane from Minneapolis through Minnesota on Highway 60, and now it's all the way to Sioux City, and then you still have 4-lane going to Texas. The whole route. And so, you know, I think there's opportunity. I would love to talk to our local representatives and see what they say. I hope even the ones that work so hard on it. Rod Hamilton. I'd like to hear his comments. I hope he's at the hearing. And I hope they speak. And I hope Bill Weber is here and speaks. And I would like to have a good contingency of people like that, if they're willing to, you know, come and talk about this. So this is a big deal in Windom's future. And so it's, do you take the risk and they don't do anything? You know, comments are, his cost is going up. Well, I don't want to waste money more than anybody else, but anyway. So that's my comments for tonight. And this meeting went too long, Steve. You thought it was going to be done at like 20 minutes ago before I started talking. So with that, folks, we're adjourned by unanimous consent.